Thank you, everyone. My name is Jay Farrow, and I am the CIO for Your American Cancer Society. It's great to be here. Thank you, TMC. Thank you to the sponsors. I am not the son of a Baptist preacher, so I'm not going to stand at the podium. Terry did a much better job standing at the podium. I am more of an ADD kind of person with apparently a lot of caffeine, so I'm going to move around a lot, flail my hands. I'm Italian. That's what we do. And that's the way you get Italian to shut up, right? Tie their hands down. Is that what it is? So it still hasn't worked. Nobody's been able to pin me down. I'm going to talk a little bit today about a transformation journey. Terry talked about the transformation. I just said, hey, I think we're living parallel lives because a lot of the challenges that he has at AARP are very similar to what we've been going through at the American Cancer Society. So I'm going to talk a little bit very briefly about who I am, because that's the least impressive thing on here, but talk a little bit more about my team, what we're doing as an organization, and then our journey. So who am I? Jay Farrow, CIO. As you just heard, I used to be with AIG. I was with them for 7.5 years, and I was not part of the organization that caused the financial meltdown. I lost my stock too, so I apologize on behalf of AIG, although I have no right to do that anymore. And we'll move off of that. More importantly, this is my family, and I'll tell you why I'm showing this in just a minute. I don't have really cool slides like Terry does. You can tell I put these together. Terry's got some really slick slides. I need to steal his communication person. On the left is, that's a very recent picture of me and my 3 sons. My big man on the left is Trey. My little man right in front of me with the bow tie, who was a ring bearer, Alex, and then my middle man, Connor, on my left with the buzz cut. And in the middle, you see them much younger on a pier off the coast of Georgia. And on the right, you see my beautiful wife, Priscilla, who was my much better half. And I say was because in 2007, I lost her to cancer. So I get asked a lot, why are you at the American Cancer Society? You were CIO of one of the largest organizations in the world. What drew you to the American Cancer Society, and why would you want to go into the nonprofit space? Are you sick? And really, when the opportunity came, it was a great chance to combine what I love doing for a mission that I could get my head around. So I lost her at the age of 36, and that was actually taken 6 months before she died. So cancer doesn't affect old people. Cancer doesn't affect white people, women, African American. Cancer impacts everyone. Children, elderly, etc. So it's a chance to combine what I do for a living, what we do for a living in the technology space, toward a life-saving mission. American Cancer Society is over 100 years old. We were founded in 1913. We're the largest voluntary health organization in the country. We are the most trusted source for cancer information and are the largest non-governmental funder of cancer research in the country. Essentially what we do is 4 primary things with about 100 sub-things, but 4 pillars of things that we do. People probably get 2 of these, 3 of these, but most people don't know about all 4. Technology supports all of these. First and foremost is our research. Everybody knows us for our research, I think. And like I said, we're the largest non-governmental funder of cancer research in the country. We've played a part in every major cancer breakthrough. IT supports that through all of our big data systems, all of our analytics, our partnerships with other organizations, and all of those types of things. We have funded 47 Nobel laureates over the years at some stage in their career. We're very, very proud of that. Fundraising through our various products we'll talk about in a little bit. We are funded through donor dollars. So when you become an organization our size with 900 locations around the country, over 6,000 staff, nearly 4 million volunteers, and 70 million plus donors. We support the systems that handle all of that. Okay? So we fundraise through multiple channels, which we'll talk about in a second. Our mission: we have a 24/7, 365 call center that never closes. We speak every major language in the world through third-party translators. We take millions of phone calls a year, and those are everything from, hey, I want to get involved, to more likely, I have stage 4 recurrent cancer. My doctor says I need a port. I don't know what that is. The first call I ever listened to 2.5 years ago was a woman who had terminal stage 4 cancer, yet had to work in order to keep her insurance and support her children. Those are the kind of calls we take 24/7, 365. Through our Road to Recovery program and our partnerships with volunteers, we give hundreds of thousands of rides to chemo and radiation every year. People, sometimes the obstacle they have is access to care. Imagine that. You have insurance, you simply are too sick, too old, or whatever to drive. We provide the technology solutions that match volunteers with the need, and many, many other things. Last but not least, advocacy. We're fighting for tougher anti-smoking laws. The fact that more than 50% of the places that you go to today are non-smoking, certainly not this place. And many of the places here in Las Vegas, we have some work to do. But the reality is that we fight for tougher anti-smoking laws, we fight for higher tax on tobacco, we fight for more cancer research, because there is a correlation and causation between, obviously, higher prices for tobacco and access and a reduction in lung cancer mortality. Some of our other brands, other than the American Cancer Society, Relay for Life is our largest fundraiser. It's the largest fundraiser of any kind. It is 2 or 3 times larger than its next closest competitor, and we're very, very proud of Relay. There's actually a Relay on every continent, including Antarctica. It's a very short one and a very cold one, but there is a Relay on Antarctica, and it's about 6 people, and they run outside, they raise money, and then they go back inside because they're about to freeze. But, you know, we have a Relay in over 30 countries. We're very, very proud. Other things, Stand Up to Cancer and our partnership there. That is obviously not us, but we have a partnership dedicating $20 million of dedicated lung cancer research with Stand Up to Cancer. We're very excited about that. Making strides against breast cancer, Coaches versus Cancer. We have tens of thousands of events every year. What does your dollar do with the American Cancer Society? I won't go into great detail, but this is essentially what it does. You fund research, you fund Road to Recovery, you fund millions of visitors. Our website alone has 7 million visitors on a monthly basis. We've caused a 50% drop in smoking, and we're very, very proud of a lot of these accomplishments. So, history of innovation, I talked a little bit about that. So why transform? You've been around 100 years, 100 plus years. Like most nonprofits, we were a federated or franchised organization. We had 12 independent divisions with one corporate headquarters, all rolling their own IT, all doing their own back office functionality. Their own CIO, their own IT director, their own technology stack, supporting the locations in their areas, right? And so we knew there had to be a better way. After 2008, when nonprofits started to really, really struggle, we knew we had to cut costs but become a more agile organization. Terry talked a lot about agility, and we were if there was an opposite of agile, we were it. We moved at glacial speed. Our IT organization is where things went to die. And so we knew we had to be a different organization. So when I joined 2.5 years ago, my boss, our president, looked at me and said, Jay, 50% of your job is rehabbing IT. IT is a 4-letter word in this organization. And the other 100% of your job is dedicated to delivering our IT strategy. And as I did the math in my head, recognizing that he just said I was responsible for 150%, he paused me and said, I know exactly what I just said. That's what I'm expecting from you. So I had no choice but to do that. But we knew there was a better way to become a more agile organization. IT was going to be the canary in the coal mine. But like every transformation, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. We were a canary in the coal mine because all 12 independent boards had not voted yet to join in and merge. They were essentially voting themselves out of existence as legal entities and becoming one organization. If IT failed, all 12 of these divisions could have said, heck with you, you guys couldn't even transform IT. We're going to stay independent for now. We're good. So there was a lot riding on the success of the IT transformation. The state of IT at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, was bad. It was ugly. An accidental architecture, over 600 independent systems, 2,000 plus servers and hundreds of data centers, hundreds and hundreds or thousands of databases and independent data stores, siloed data and applications not talking to one another. People couldn't get their jobs done. Okay? And I won't go, I'm not a guy that says when I come in I need to spend 6 months articulating the problem or admiring the problem. So after about 6 to 8 weeks, I recognized that on the people, process, and technology scale, we were nowhere where we needed to be to become a more resilient, more agile American Cancer Society. We had no repeatable processes. We had no metrics. We had the wrong people in the wrong seats. You heard Terry talk a lot about cultivating people, digging deep. There's gold under there. My people weren't being challenged. Some people didn't want to be challenged. And I always say, if you can't change people, you change people. The bus was leaving one time. We have a life-saving mission. Either people wanted to be part of that or they don't. And sometimes you have to make those changes. So needless to say, it was ugly. So rather than spend a year hiring consultants just to tell me how bad it was, we stopped at, okay, it's bad. And the results of that very brief assessment within just a few months were, here are the key findings. Okay, too many applications. Enterprise data was locked up. People couldn't get to it. I mean, the applications we did have were old. They didn't talk to one another. People were in the wrong seats. We didn't have confidence, et cetera, et cetera. All the typical things you see in an underperforming IT organization. But we had to establish trust quickly. Okay, I couldn't get in there and say, okay, pardon our progress for the next 2.5 years. We're going to be fine. Don't expect anything of IT while I go fix it. That was going to fail miserably. So I had to get people excited about what was going on in IT. And one of the ways you do that is in a leader in any space, whether you're CIO, director, manager, team lead, doesn't matter. Do you deliver iterative value, quick wins? But I had to get people signed up for it. They had been beaten down, siloed. IT was, like I said, a 4-letter word, vilified, a black box. Things went to die, walled off. It was hierarchical. I shrank the organization, flattened it, and set out 5 guiding principles and outcomes that we abide by. And we'll talk a little bit about how we implemented those in a minute. Out of that came a technology roadmap. Now we're going to talk a little bit about, and you're going to get a copy of this, so don't worry about taking pictures or if nothing else, it's a cautionary tale of what not to do. But when you're trying to change a 100-year organization, you don't do it as CIO based on your own magnificence. You don't come in and say, hey, my honeymoon period is going to go into 2-3 years. I'm just going to do this on my own steam. You have to develop partnerships. We have a very thick, dense culture. Most nonprofits are 1/3 normal organization, 1/3 healthcare, very touchy-feely, right? Everybody loving one another. 1/3 government institution, we know how that goes. And very passive-aggressive in its culture. They may look at you and say, hey, Terry, love your thinking, man. Love it. You and I are aligned. They walk out and go, whew, that Terry's crazy. Man, no way. And they'll drag their feet. Emails don't get returned, those types of things. So I knew I was dealing with a culture that had to be kind of cajoled and educated. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. A lot of meetings, a lot of hand-holding, a lot of looking people in the eye and making sure that they knew you had them accounted for, and educating them on the fact that one way was better than 13 ways. It didn't have to be my way, but it had to be one way. And that was my mantra. I don't care that it's not my way, but we have to agree on one way, and a way to do things, not 13. That's a misuse of donor dollars, and there's an opportunity to do it better. And so one of the ways I earned that credibility was creating a 30, 60, 90 journey. Here's what you can expect from me in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in the organization. Transparency is a CIO's best friend. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I hear a lot of vendors here, a lot of partners talking about partnering with an organization. Here's a lesson learned. If you are a vendor, be transparent with your CIO. Don't sit there and show them marketing slicks. Don't sit there and show them a case study where everything's hunky-dory. Be transparent about what's working and what's not working. Okay? Every CIO, every director, every vice president always hears the good. I can go to your website and get that. I want to hear what's not working, what your challenges are. Internally, that's the same thing. I think I said for the first year, Terry talked about using the gold mining, digging deep for gold, and how his people are tired of hearing it. The thing I used to say, and I still do all the time, is I'm going to tell you when the baby's ugly, and man, is our baby ugly. But we're going to fix him. We're going to pretty him up. Put them on a weight loss plan. Get them on a regimen. Get them to eat right. Right? And the one way that you earn confidence is by being transparent and showing what's working, what's not. So the walls around IT had to come down. Internally within IT and externally. Partnerships with other C-level executives and other senior executives, collaboration, and my favorite, SMAC, Social, Mobile, Analytics, and Cloud. We can't go to any conference and not be bombarded by these 4 words, and now we have the Internet of Things, so we can call it SMAC-IOT or something like that, I don't know. But these are the 5 buzzwords du jour that every CIO and IT expert is bombarded with daily. So process improvement. Terry talked about agility. I agree 100%. He talked about quick wins. He talked about standing up proofs of concept. It's like he stole my deck, and I'm really offended by that, Terry. But it validates the direction we're going. So when a smart guy like his says like that, I walk away feeling at least like, hey, if we're failing, we're going to fail together. He's got some really good ideas, and he's been there longer at AARP, so I guess maybe I stole them from him, who knows. But it was all about quick wins and changing the culture. It's not just about a shift from waterfall to agile. Okay? It's a mental change. It's rewarding your employees for being entrepreneurs and for being proactive and for getting excited about delivering iterative value. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you stand up a real innovation process in the organization. And we stood this up fairly quickly. But guess what? This is not an IT process. I don't own this anymore. I took charge of it at the beginning and I pushed it, but I abdicated responsibility for it. Certainly there are IT components of it once it becomes a project, but I wanted product development and our revenue and marketing area to own this. I don't want it to be an IT process. I want it to be an organizational process that gets into everything that we do. You heard me talk about quick wins, 30, 60, 90. There's a lot of great things that can come from a quick win methodology. First of all, when you have an organization that's been beaten down and is being told every single day of the week that they stink and they're not doing their job, and IT people generally want to do better. And when you work for an organization like the American Cancer Society, people want, I can't afford to pay people at the 90th percentile. People want to get excited about what they do. They want to make a difference. They want to deliver value. So we enabled everybody within the IT organization. Anybody could stand up a quick win. And all it is a really cutesy name for a small, short, sharp piece of work, a 30-day little micro project. We apply a little bit of rigor to it. We allow every IT employee, everyone, to have this capacity to spin it up. It gives them, we get the benefit of the win itself. Of course, the work actually gets done. It could take the form of an idea, a process improvement. Hey, this takes 9 steps and it's manual. We're going to automate it and now it's 2 steps. Hey, we used to print this out and fax it. I've had an idea. Last time I raised my hand, I got my hand shot off. So I've been quiet for the last year. But if you're telling me I'm not going to get fired for pointing out something that's not working, I'm going to do it. And so we begin to reward the behavior. The behavior change is the real value of a quick win methodology. The rest of the organization begins to see the success you have. They begin to see the wheels, those old crusty wheels of progress in the organization breaking free. IT begins to get a little bit of credibility. Everything can't be an ERP mentality where I promise you in 3 years when we finally roll that out, you're going to love IT. Can't be that way. That's not the world we live in. We live in an app culture. Every time you open your iPhone or your Android and you see updates, it's like Christmas. You see, I got 9 updates. What new functionality are they rolling out now? This is awesome. That's the way we want to be as well. We want to constantly be iterating. The big value we got is we empowered IT people to think independently. You heard me talk about transparency and communication. If anything, I probably communicate too much. But until they tell me to shut up, I'm going to keep on communicating. So I invite myself to executive meetings. I'm the first CIO in the organization to present to the board. That wasn't because Jay Farrow's amazing and I'm awesome, but I earned that credibility. But thank you, Terry. I know I am. No. No, it was because we began to earn credibility. And the board had an interest in understanding primarily risk management at first and the risk to the organization or security posture, as most boards do. But then they had a genuine interest. Hey, who's this CIO that keeps talking in terms that we understand? ROI, NPV, IRR, return on investment, innovation, all these other things. I know about those terms. Get him to come in here and spend some time with us. Newsletters, multi-channel communication, both inside and outside of IT, has paid huge dividends. We're constantly looking at ourselves, and you have to have a thick skin. Believe me, if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times my first year. IT is awful. Sorry, Jay, you took over a sinking ship. Did you draw the short straw? How much are they paying you? I actually had one of our executive vice presidents come by my office on the second day on the job, peek in and go, I lost the bet. You actually did come back. And I was like, there was actually a pool whether or not I'd show up for the second day. And they said, well, the over-under was like a week, but I took the under. And I was like, all right, can I get a piece of that sweet action? I mean, let me lay some down on that. I said, let me ruin it for you. I'm going to be here. You're going to have to drag my carcass out, kicking and screaming. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm very proud to be here. So, how do you incent behavior within IT? We came up with, let me correct that, my team came up with, I took a person from every one of our historic divisions, an IT person, non-management, non-director, non-executive, that had them come to Atlanta for a bunch of workshops, but I said, tell me what we stand for. Because right now we're standing for not delivering, we're standing for wasting a whole lot of money and delivering no value and becoming the scapegoat for the organization. And transformation is going to fail if we don't get our heads out of our collective rear ends. So what do we stand for? Is that the reputation? Is that what we stand for? No. They were very, very passionate. They all hate cancer. 2 or 3 of them were survivors. Most of them had lost somebody dear to them, and they wanted to make a difference. So I said, you come out of this room, and I want to know what our vision is and what our values are. Everybody is held accountable to our IT code, including me. I'm evaluated every year, I voluntarily did this, by my IT team at all levels on how I'm doing as a leader. It's part of my performance evaluation with my boss. He never thought to ask me about that. I said, I want to know how I'm doing. Part of my evaluation is how IT is doing on a nationwide survey. We have an annual survey. Over 1/3 of our staff responds. And if you've ever done surveys, getting 2,000, 2,100 people to respond to a survey is pretty good. If we're not doing well, I'm not doing well. So on a bi-monthly basis, we have an IT Spirit of Excellence Award. People are nominated by their peers. They're nominated by somebody else in the organization. They get a plaque. They get all kinds of props on our internal communication channels. And guess what? Morale starts to change, not just because of this. It's a piece of the puzzle. It is not the puzzle. We talked about partnerships with other key departments. Could not have had any of the success that we've had without partnerships with talent strategy, corporate communications, our PMO, finance, etc. Sometimes you're going to have tough customers. Believe me, you're not going to walk into an office and they're going to see you and just go, oh, Jay, you're here. Thank goodness. We've been waiting for you. Here are the keys to the kingdom. Tell us what to do. Oh, great one. Some other C-level executives might see you as a threat and say, hey, loudmouth. Yeah, we were doing just fine until you came here. You're going to have to win me over. And that's okay. We'll win everybody else around them, and eventually we'll get them too. We'll kill them with kindness and delivery. We talked a little bit about social, mobile, analytics, and cloud, those types of forces. Leveraging, and the point of this is not just for these 4, because in another 5 years, we won't even be talking about these quite as much anymore. We'll be talking about new forces. But I knew ACS needed to leverage things that were out there. If somebody can do it better, faster, and cheaper than I can, whether it's in the telco space, whether it's in the cloud, hosting space, whatever it is, I need to talk to them because that's a better use of donor dollars. I look at every dollar that we spend in IT as somebody wrote a check to the American Cancer Society trusting that we're going to make the best use of it. We're not an IT company. Some of the successes, I know we're running a little low on time, so I'm going to be real quick through these. I'll let you read these. We've rolled out 365. Believe it or not, when I joined 2 years ago, we were on Lotus Notes. And we were one of the last companies of our size that was on Lotus Notes. And I said before we had over 600 applications in our portfolio, but if you include Lotus Notes crapplications, it was probably closer to about 2,500. I was pretty sure that if I had just killed Lotus Notes, they would name a room after me in our corporate headquarters because it was that hated. We got rid of it. We moved to 365, Link, Yammer, SharePoint 2013. Now we can do ad hoc video conferencing, desktop sharing, voice, everything in all of our locations. Reduces travel costs. People feel closer together. They feel more collaborative, and it's paying big dividends for us. BYOD, when I joined, we only had a couple hundred people on BYOD. Now we have close to 4,000 people on BYOD. Productivity is up. Okay, we now have an internal app store where we can roll out customized apps that are secured, they're containerized, they're in a wrapper, but we're allowing people to work on their terms, simplified and standardized. Okay? Bottom line is I wanted us to be a data-driven, mobily enabled, platform-agnostic organization. We skew very young when it comes to employees. You try to tell a 24-year-old out of college on their first or second job when they're volunteering for you that, hey, here's your old XYZ laptop, fire up old Bessie, VPN in, pop open IE8, and then after about 20 minutes, you're going to be able to get to your data. You're going to have a pretty bad user experience. So our goal is to take all of our key applications, both internal and external, and get them on any device and then having a great, seamless, fast, secure experience. Data management, we've gone from a batch system to a near real-time analytics. We used to move everything around with SQL code. Now we have ETL standards. But we started small, we thought big, and we scaled fast. We didn't try to boil the ocean. Assessed, it was this big. Well, what can I do today? What can I do in 30 days? What can I do in 60 days? And eventually you get momentum, obstacles begin to collapse, and you end up having success. So today we actually get, when we run a campaign, Terry talked about the commercials, we run commercials too, in both regional and national. We want to know how we did. Did we see uptick? Did people go to cancer.org? Did people download our apps? Did they go to Relay for Life? Did they do all this stuff? Used to be it took over a week for us to get that information because of all of our batch processing and data manipulation. Now we get it near real time. Our customer support, when I first joined, our customer sat was about 78%. Now we're hovering close to 98.1%. Very, very proud of that. That's over 2,000 people responding. Plus we get responses after every interaction with us. And if it's something really bad, they get a personal response from me. Just a handful of numbers, which I'll let you go through. So the report card. This is what our staff gave us. This is not what Jay gives himself. If Jay gave this to himself, it would be more of probably straight C pluses, B minuses. But I'm harder on us than the rest of our organization is on us. And I think as a leader, you have to always be setting the bar higher than your organization is setting. You see our tenet on the left, simplified, standardized, secure, efficient, effective. Everything we do is looked at through those lenses. When I look at my architecture, do I have it already? Why am I going to buy something else? Can I reuse something I have already? Why did you make it 9 steps when it needs to be 2? Right? So all of this, I mean, it would have been easy to say, hey, Jay, you came into the organization, you plopped down a whole bunch of money, and you transformed. But the answer is that's not what we did. We self-funded most of it, and my IT budget here in year 3 is 20% less than it was in year 1. We didn't spend more year 1. We stayed flat year 1. I took a hit year 2, 3%. This year I'm 20% less than year 1. We self-fund our innovations. We self-run our tinkering, all of those things. Now, that's not to say that our board and our president and our CEO won't look at a business opportunity and apply resources to that if the ROI is there. They will. And believe me, I was not told to reduce my budget by that much. But I knew we could. Telecom alone, we saved $6 million a year through consolidation and optimization, through VoIP, SIP, all kinds of things. Just that alone. You had 900 locations rolling their own historically. What kind of efficiencies do you think that the American Cancer Society of Poughkeepsie, with 5 people in the office, when they called 10 years ago and signed a telecom contract, what kind of deal you think they got by themselves? Probably not